To install the poly windshield on your Polaris XPEDITION XP or ADV, follow these steps. Park the vehicle on a flat level surface, ensure it is in park, and remove the key. Remove 3 screws and the inside sail panel. Next, cut between the raised lines on the underside of the sail panel. Your cut should extend in a straight line across the full width of the part. Then, install 2 screws and the trimmed inside sail panel. Repeat on the other side. Next, install plugs in the bolt holes above the windshield opening. Repeat on the other side. Then install the lower base, washer, and a screw. The front edge of the mount must be parallel to the ROPS. Torque to specification. There is limited space between the lower clamp and the dashboard panel. Use a piece of tape to protect the dash from tool rub marks. Next, install the upper base, washer, and screw. The shape of the mount will orient the mount correctly on the ROPS. Torque to specification. Then, use the upper clamp to loosely hang the windshield from the upper mount. Swing the windshield into position so the upper center tab holds the top of the windshield to the ROPS. Next, align the clamps on the windshield with the upper mounts and lower mounts. Make sure that the clamps are fully seated against the poly windshield and apply the clamps. When applying the clamps, apply light pressure to the outside of the windshield near the clamp. This will compress the windshield seal and lessen the force needed to apply the clamp. Then, engage the clamp lock with the mount base. Push outward on the clamp bar to apply the clamp. Repeat on the lower clamp. Repeat on the other side. Next, examine the seal pressure along the bottom edge of the windshield. The seal should be consistent across the bottom edge. If the corner of the windshield needs additional pressure, loosen the lower base and move the base rearward and tighten the screw. Then, clamp the windshield to the base and examine the seal pressure again. If the lower clamp does not fully engage with the lower base, it may be necessary to use shims. This will help correct the slight gap between the base and the clamp. To install the shim, remove the lower base and add a shim between the ROPS and the base. Up to 2 shims may be added on each side. Make sure the shim is fully engaged with the lower base. When the base is properly positioned, remove the clamps and torque to specification. Then reinstall the clamp. To open the vent on the windshield, push on the bottom of the vent flap. To close the vent on the windshield, rotate the top of the vent flap toward the windshield to close the vent. For more information, see your authorized Polaris dealer or visit Polaris.com.